times in 1 week.
Ooh.
Maxine,
Uh-oh.
I know. It's almost like I'm in trouble.
That's what it feels like every
Not
time.
3 days straight, but 3 times in 1 week.
I mean, if I'm in a restaurant, I do, but, at home, no, none.
Times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it happens.
Recording live. Who's our guest?
I'm sure you never do.
My caller is one good-looking cop. Nothing was recording
Kids
live.
were so cute in that restaurant the other night. They get a little loud and kind of look over and kind of give them evil eye, and they don't kind of look at it. And then it was like, shh.
Yeah. I can tell my kids if you're not
Oh
having
man,
fun,
she
you're
was
not doing
all
it
over
right.
it every time and a country song came on. Man, they're just jamming away. And I said, how do they know all the words of these? And she says, that's
Yeah.
what younger kids are listening to the country these days. So.
Well, they don't really get a choice. That's what is on my truck.
Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah. Well, they knew all the words. I'd never heard the song before, but.
6:30.
1 minute. Tick, tick, tick. Where's Wazak at tonight?
Man, I saw him clearing brush down there by Mud Run for like 3 weeks straight.
He's been down there for about a month and a half.
Where's that hat? That's goes with the hat.
And every time he goes back and forth, he beeps the horn. The horn hardly works. It's like Edler's truck. And of course, Sue always has a nice comment. Okay, it's 6:30, and I'll call our meeting to order. Mrs. Sweet, would you call the roll, please, this evening?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Babcock?
Here.
Mrs. Sweet, here. Mr. Bear?
Here.
Mr. Whitaker?
Here.
Mr. Avery?
Here.
Mr. Hannah?
We have all members of council present, so would you please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. This is the regular session of the Enon Village Council, and this is Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. Any additions to our agenda this evening?
I have something under committee reports in regards to the compensation policy, sir.
Mrs. Sweet, under committee reports. And I have just a few brief items of communication. Let's go to our minutes of the Tuesday, May 9th, 2023 meeting. If you've had a chance to go through those. Brenda, thank you for your help on helping us get those created this evening.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
So if the council's satisfied, or if there are any changes, make those noted. But if you're satisfied, I'd entertain a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. I'll second.
So moved by Mr. Hannah, seconded by Mr. Bear. And call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet, yes. Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Abstain.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Thank you. Those are approved as presented. We'll go into finances. Looking at the cash summary by fund. General fund, balance $162,000. Street construction, $80,000. Federal grant, if you notice that now we're only at negative $80,000. We did a $15,000 transfer per the agreement we had with the auditor's office from the general fund. So we are getting there. And ARPA, $135,000. Police levy, $300,000. Water operating, $234,000. And the contingency for the water is $110,000. Total of all funds, $951,455.21. Looking at our revenue status, for the general fund there on page 1, we've collected about 56% of our anticipated revenues. So we are in good shape there. And did we get our rollback? Where's our rollback? We did. We got our rollback money. Okay, good deal. So that was something that we were looking for. Let's go to page 2, street construction, maintenance and repair, 39% collected there. So we're in good shape there as well. Over to page 3, we're at 52%. And that, Mike, is going to increase because we're going to have some sales on the gov. Deals, and that will include the old charger. So that amount will go up a little bit in addition to the second half of collection of the real estate taxes. And let's go to page 4, water operating, 34%. Keep in mind that does not include the month of May collections, so that amount, that percentage, is just through April. Page 5, total of all funds, we have 42%. So we're looking pretty good there. Let's go to the appropriation status report. And for our general fund, if you go to page 2, general fund, we've spent approximately 41% of our anticipated expenditures. And again, there was a big, that $15,000 does show up as an expenditure that was transferred into that federal grant fund. Page 3, 34%, that would be for the police levy. And let's see, where was our street? Did I miss the street? There's the street, okay. And street construction, maintenance and repair, that was on page 2. I skipped over that one, it's about 31%. So those are looking good. Let's see what we're looking at for the water fund here. Page 5 for the water operating, 36%. Total of all funds, there at the bottom, about 34%. So we're doing really well. I would like to also, and let's just get this out of the way now, we'll go ahead and take care of the second part of getting our 2 mil general fund operating levy placed on the ballot. Again, renewal for 2 years, for 2 mills. That would be over a 5-year period. It would be starting in this year, 2023, and run through 2027. Collection years would be 2024 through 2028. So the second part is a resolution to proceed with placing that on the actual ballot for November. So I would entertain a motion and a second to suspend the 3 reading rule of this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Bear, seconded by Mr. Whitaker.
And then I'll move that we proceed with the resolution to proceed.
We'll go ahead and call the roll first. Mrs.
Okay.
Fine.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet, yes. Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
So the 3 reading rule has been suspended. Now, Mr. Whitaker.
Motion to adopt the resolution to proceed.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Whitaker, seconded by Mr. Bear. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet, yes. Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
And that resolution does pass, and I'll get that onto our fiscal officer. Mr. Babcock, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
Good evening.
Now, I've been working with Rick a little bit, and I'm really excited about our Enon Sports Park, and I think it has great potential for our community. But like a lot of things, it's going to take some funding to make it happen. But where's that funding going to come from? It's only going to come from one of 2 places, and that's going to be either through a tax levy or through some kind of fundraising. In my opinion, our tax levies, asking our citizens to increase taxes, that should go to either the police force first, maybe village needs second, but those have a higher priority than an Enon Sports Park. So that kind of leaves fundraising and grants and things like that to fund our Enon Sports Park that we've been fighting for so much. But fundraising is not for the faint of heart. It's both an art and a science. It's difficult. And raising, as it stands right now, $6.3 million to do that is tough. So I've been part of some successful multi-million-dollar fundraising things in the past. I'm not sure everybody on council has had that same pain or privilege, however you want to call it, in doing these kinds of things. So I thought I'd share some of the lessons learned or thoughts that I've had regarding fundraising with the crowd, and then just go over some of that with us and the citizens as well. But some of the fundamentals, and some of this stuff comes from Indiana University, which is one of the few universities in the country that actually has a degree in fundraising, as well as several of the sources of my own personal experiences. But I'm going to be talking about the type, the thing, the story, the organization, the staff, the plans, and then kind of sum it up. So when we go, but I really wanted to talk about just starting like 101. Fundraising at the very basics is asking the right person, the right prospect for the right gift, for the right program, at the right time, in the right way. That is fundraising, and that's a very, very difficult thing to do. But in the end, giving is not about just making a donation on their end. It's about making a difference, and we have to convince them that they are going to make a difference by investing in our Enon Sports Park. So when I talk about the type, there are various types, and we're kind of a combination of two between the brick and mortar thing and kind of a comprehensive combined campaign. And I'm not going to read these things to you. And there are other types, but this is kind of when you're talking about what kind of a type of project are you having. I would say we fall into that brick and mortar or a combined campaign, and that's what we're doing. Next slide, Mike. And when we're talking about the thing is our Enon Sports Park. But we have to be able to explain why it's relevant, why it's important, our sense of urgency. We have to explain what we have today, why it isn't good enough, and what the unmet needs are. And what that thing, which is our Enon Sports Park, will do for our community to meet those needs. And we have to be able to do that through a story. Now, our story has to be first class. And when we go in and make a pitch, you never have a second chance to make a good first impression. That's always true. And we have to develop and hone our pitch when we go in to whatever investor, whatever donor we're going to talk to. We have to have a honed pitch, class act going in there, and has to be, as it says up there, clear, consistent, compelling, and repeatable, because we're going to be telling that same story to multiple people. We have to be able to explain the thing and how it's going to make the world, or at least our community, a better place. We have to be able to deliver it in a multimedia, a multi-mode fashion. And what we want to do is we kind of need to leave the listener with zero doubt that the thing, meaning our Enon Sports Park, and that the goal is truly worthy of their investment. And we have to remember that our story is, while it's great for us, and the impact that it's going to have on our community is going to be graded, because we're not the only ones that's asking for money. And it's going to be graded against other stories from other fundraising campaigns. And so we have to make ours so much better, so much more compelling against the other ones, to make it so that they're willing to invest in our Enon Sports Park more than anybody else. So what's our pitch deck? How do we make that happen? Well, our story is kind of laid out this way. We're going to have our introduction. You're going to have that vision, that story. We're going to have that hook. We're going to tell what the problem is. We had Indian Valley. We had all those softball fields and soccer fields and all those kinds of things We had the worst buildings infrastructure-wise in the state of Ohio. We had to get a new school. We built that, but when we built that, it took away our soccer fields. Our SAVE programs suffered from that. And then, so our customers, our citizens, what are they doing now? How are we, they're suffering because we don't have that. Our kids are suffering. The solution is our Enon Sports Park. We had the chance to buy 66 acres. We took that chance between us and Mad River Township. I'm doing a high end of this thing. And that by coming together between Mad River Township, the Village of Enon, and you as our investor, we can solve this and have a world-class park that will serve the needs of our community and really the whole Southwest Ohio area by having a premier sports park that people can come to for all kinds of things. And not only just the sports park, but then we would go on to the other things that the park has as far as walking park, trails, things like that. But we have to remember, I'm sorry, Mike, that, and having done this, you spend a lot of shoe leather going out to all these people. Your hit rate, your success rate is always low, because you can go to 100 people and you might get a good hit 3, 4 out of 100. But when you hit, and that's good. But just don't think because you walk into a building that investor is going to give you the money, because it may sound good to one person that you're talking to, but they're going to have to take it to their board. And the board has all kinds of people that are listening to pitches, and you may make it, you may not. At the same time, they're going to ask us questions. They always ask us questions. And one of the things they're going to ask is, what's your organization? How are you going to manage that money? They're going to want to know that their funding is going to be used properly, wisely, how we're managing the money, how it's going to be done legally, how it's going to be auditable, who's doing that, who has that experience to do that, who's on your team that has that experience. So who's managing funds? Who's your legal expertise to approve the contract? When you're talking about the program management, who has the program management expertise on your team to build a sports complex? If we give you this money, we want to know it's going to be done right. So who has that experience? And we have to be able to answer that, because they will ask those questions, and we need to have those answers. It's not just about us giving us the money. We have to be able to do that. And then I missed over the donor plan. I'm sorry. No, it is. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead. On the fundraising, so we're going to need multiple plans. Not only do we need a fundraising plan where we have our goal, our mission, our tactics, and our timeline. And tactics include who are the major donor groups we're going after, the corporate giving groups. Do we want grants? And I've already talked to Jobs Ohio about some of that. What events are we going to do? And on an investor donor plan, who do we have networks with? Who might they have networks with? And or who might donate to a sports park like Dick's, REI, Premier Mercy Health Kettering, whoever the case may be. And then we, meaning the VOE and Mad River Township, how much money are we willing to invest to promote our Enon Sports Park and gain the support of the investors? So we have to decide that, because we're going to have to spend some money to get the money. And we have to have a budget. We have to know what our budget is to figure out how much money we're willing to invest to go out and get the money that we need to build our sports park.
Dave, quick question while it's on my mind. If you get somebody, you're saying you go to 100 places, you get maybe 2 or 3 hits. Isn't it kind of catchy though? Once you get that first one, maybe if somebody else knows, it's like, oh, they're in on it. It's like, isn't that kind of like, it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's okay. It gives a level of comfort.
Yes. And then you quite frankly, you tend to use that.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, by the way, Tim's company invested, and because I know that Tim or Mike knows you, so, that's good to know. And then he can take it to his board, because he doesn't make, nobody makes, at the money we're talking about, nobody that you're talking to makes that decision unilaterally. They always have to take it to their board, and their CFO makes the decision.
But it's good to say, hey, they are also buying in. We
Right.
think this would be good. So it kind of
Right.
helps the, okay,
It does.
thank you.
So, and then, and we also have to have a naming plan, because we will be asked about naming rights. And then what's our threshold? Is it $2 million, $4 million? If they give $100,000, can we have naming rights for $100,000? No. Well, what is it? And we can't answer that question yet, because we haven't talked about it. But we need to. And we need to have that plan. We need to have that number in our mind first before we really go out there and talk. Because if you're in the middle of talking to somebody and we don't have that number in our mind, we haven't decided amongst ourselves that that's what we're going to do, we're only going to get ourselves in trouble. Because somebody may say, yep, you can have it for $1 million, and then somebody gives us $2 million, and then now we've just lost it. So that's going to be a problem. And then managing the gifts, as as these things are made, we have to. They may commit to, and I'm just picking a number. They may commit to $200 or $2 million, but they're never going to write a check for $2 million. That's not the way it works. They're going to make progress payments. They may make a $100,000 donation today as kind of a seed money, and then they're going to make progress payments as we make progress along. So how are we going to provide that information to them? How often are we going to provide that information? What do they need to make the next progress? We need to figure those things out, and we need to have somebody in charge of providing that information to our donors, to our investors, and then making sure that they have that so that the money flow keeps on coming in. So we need to have that follow-up and updating our donors on the progress. And then, and no company, or very, very few companies, are going to donate money and say, here you go, thank you very much. If they don't have naming rights, how is our company going to be recognized for giving the money? And we have to have an answer for that. We could have a plaque out there, with all kinds of company logos, what our sports park is. That would be one thing that we could do. There are, we could name diamonds or fields. We have 4 diamonds, or baseball, softball, whatever they are. The Howard Diamond, or the Hannah Diamond, or the Avery Diamond, or the Whitaker Diamond, or whatever the case may be, or the Babcock soccer field, or you could have that, but but we need to figure out how companies can be recognized, because no one wants to give us money without some way to recognize, and we need to have an answer for that. So we need to put some thought leadership behind that as well. Okay, go ahead, Mike. So in summary, we need to take some time, sit down as a group with our MRT counterparts, and develop, create, and then execute an Enon Sports Park campaign that tells a compelling story, wows the potential donor in the process, which properly leads them to believe that this is exactly what investing in our local community is all about, and compels that C-suite or board approval to make a major donation within their fiscal flexibility to our project. So we need the right plans, right people, and the right budget to make that happen. Go ahead, Mike. So with that said, anybody have any questions?
When we were discussing some of this earlier on, Dave,
Excuse me.
you made a good point about what levels of benefactors you may have on this. That you had certain criteria, similar to what we just talked about on the individuals of what they can expect, but to have a graded financial influx or certain financial thresholds for the people to have. I think that was a good point and very, very, very important on feedback to the people that would be putting money forward on that. So
Now, earlier in the week, or last week, Emil, I've been working, because Rick and I have been working on, when we talk about the pitch deck, one of the things that I talked about up there was having a wow graphic. I mean, that 2D with where the aquifer is, and that's not going to cut it to build a wow graphic or a wow pitch deck. And so I've been trying to find the right company. I've talked to several, I didn't like their prices, or they just didn't have the right feel. But again, I was on a Saturday or Sunday, I was reading the Dayton Business Journal, and I saw this firm, and I said, and I saw some of their graphics, and I'm going, wow. So I had a Teams meeting with the president of the company, and then he was telling me, he showed me some of his work, and then I saw the price, and I went, oh my gosh, because it was $2,900 for level one, some pre-work, and then there's several graphics. And then there was a third task, which was $1,900 more, and I'm not even proposing that we do that yet. But that was a fly-in, meaning that was the video where he would take a lot of those graphics, and then it's a kind of like a video that you would have that kind of flies over the park as those graphics are designed. So you would fly over the soccer fields, fly over the pickleball courts, fly over the soccer fields, and if we still have the dog or the parking fields or the trails, they would do all that for another $1,900. But I would recommend holding off on that. But I would like, if it's possible, because Tim and you have it and everybody else has it, you have the proposal, you saw the work, and I would ask that it would take about 3 weeks, I believe he said, to get that graphics or set of graphics back to us. And so I'm asking if the council would consider approving that, so that we can at least get that started as we move forward in our pitch deck to proceed towards building the right pitch deck to take out to our potential donors and begin work on getting the right investors for our Enon Sports Park.
I'm all for it. The examples you sent us, I think it's great. I think that's exactly what we're going to have. The only thing I would be concerned with is if, maybe I'm not concerned, that we're good with what we have come up with to this point. If we have some changes or anything that anyone's wanting to make, we probably need to kind of lock those down before paying $3,000 or $4,000 to get professional graphics done.
Such as location of the dog park, if it's going to stay in the same spot, or maybe
Right, if it's even there.
if he's even going to be there.
Right.
So that's a good point, Jeremy, because all of the things that were brought up in that, and Dave, you mentioned this a few meetings back, all of those things need to be considered. Are they worth, changing the plan for? Would they work? If they can't work, why can't they work, or whatever? But that is a good point.
And maybe those things could be something that we could talk about, and they be included in the flyover when we decide to do that. The main graphics would probably be, we know we're going to have baseball fields, we know we're going to have soccer fields,
the main part of the park,
have a concession stand / garage, things like that. Maybe we could move forward with those, and then the peripherals around the park that are going to be added in could be part of the flyover.
Right. That's what I thought. I know there's going to be minor changes, but these things, these graphics, Jeremy, when you're doing, these are all pre-designed anyway. They're everybody knows that we're not trying to throw one over on them. These are our plans,
Right.
but plans can change. I mean, as EPA, demands it, or as something else comes through.
Plans do change.
I mean, as a guy in the military, or even Jerry knows, I mean, plans last the very first second, of execution, and after that, they're only a plan. So
Yeah.
I still think it would be worth it, and at least gets us started, and then we can start working on some of these other things. And, I think we need to start actively working to get answers to some of these things, by us working together to, what are our naming rights? What do we want to do? Who we're going to go to? Sit down, get some ideas. I don't care if it's in here or with the community or over a beer, for all I care. Well, I really like that idea, but that's another issue.
The only way that we're going to get this thing moving is to get some type of a presentation put together. And I've talked to somebody that's waiting for that to happen, and it does have to be a wow presentation. So, and I don't know about the township as far as,
My conversation with trustee president Pettit is that, yes, we do want to go forward with the PowerPoint as soon as possible. Anything after that, I don't know where that's going to head, but right now I think there is a consensus to try to find out, are there any limitations with Harold and Stevenson, or what's the situation with them or in their abilities as far as to proceed on different projects on the park, or at what point does their expertise possibly say, hey, okay, now it's time for you to find somebody else in order to do that, and we're looking at that right now.
Well, and I, I told you in that email, well, was it yesterday or today, or maybe it wasn't last week, but it was earlier this week, that MSP, this firm, they do all that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that at the time. But in my discussions on the Zoom, he said, hey, Dave, we do the same thing that Harold and Stevenson do. We do civil engineering, we do surveying, we do this, we do that. And here's some references if you'd like to call on how well we do that. So if, I don't know how you picked Harold and Stevenson, but if you get to a point that you're actually going to bid this, please include us, because I think that we would do a good job for you in managing this thing further.
and I think
Not just the
they've done-
graphics, but the whole thing. And the two references that I did call, I mean, they were stellar. I mean, one was a township, one was a city. They both gave them, A+ ratings. So
Well, I think they've done us a good job to this point. They've done work for us that they haven't even charged us for, which says a lot for their commitment. Is it their gig? Is it their expertise to do a presentation like this? I don't know. I don't know that that's what they're into.
That's what I'm trying to find out from Trustee McClure.
Okay.
Find out, where their abilities are or where their abilities stop. I guess that's the best point off of it, because that's been a gray area as far as the billing aspect of what are they doing pro bono and what are they charging for. So right now, we do know that we have an outstanding bill for them or plan to bill for the topography and for the elevations down there. It's basically is almost an a la carte situation with them, where there is not a long-standing agreement or anything written down as far as what their expectations are, or where this is even going to go with them, other than the
But
fact that
don't you think legally, Rick, you're getting yourself into a potential quagmire? I mean, I think having that situation puts the VOE and the MRT at risk.
as to what they did and what they haven't did as far as billing
As
aspect?
far as not having any kind of a contract with them, that they can come back virtually at any time and then.
It's been a concern.
bill.
We've asked multiple times to find out what the expectations are for their services.
And the longer you let that happen without some kind of a contract, I mean, I have been in contract negotiations virtually my entire life, and that is a risk that I would not recommend be continued.
So Dave, so I understand what you're saying, the stuff that they may have performed previously could come back and send us a bill for.
Absolutely.
Okay. Fair enough.
Absolutely. And I have seen it happen.
Okay.
Without a contract, if we accepted the work,
Okay.
and if we, like Kevin talked about putting that there graphic, putting it out there at the park and this, that, and the other, we accepted it, then they could bill for it
So what if
at
we,
whatever rate they want to bill. Because there was no agreement as to
Okay.
what that was.
Understood.
what if we do an approval based upon approval from the township? Would that be reasonable, Rick? Does that make sense?
As far as on Dave's request?
Yes.
I mean, for $2,900, do we,
We've set aside, what was it, was it 12.5 of planning money for the village itself?
Yes, I think we have 60,000.
We did, we took some of the ARPA money, but we
Yeah.
we initially side marked, I think, off of the budget 12.5, if memory serves.
Off our general fund?
Yeah. I know that they want to go forward with this. I know
Well,
the
then
timing's
let's-
an issue because of who you've been dealing with, to try to get them that technology as soon as possible. For $2,900 or whatever you're speaking of, I think the village can go ahead and put it on our shoulders and
see if we get reimbursed by the MRT, great.
It's been a very agreeable situation. I don't see any problem. And then again, talking to them very recently, I know they're anxious to see a PowerPoint as well.
Well, then we would entertain a motion in a second.
I move that we approve MSP's proposal as was provided to the council for tasks 1 and 2 for $2,900.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Babcock, seconded by Mr. Avery, and any further discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
You'll have to wait a second. I don't do shorthand.
You're getting better.
Who seconded it? I know I was listening.
Mr. Avery.
Mr. Avery.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Babcock,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet, yes. Mr. Bear,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, that motion does pass
Tim,
unanimously.
I assume you have statutory authority. Would you sign that and send it back, or do you
I'll
want me
be
to?
happy to.
I mean, you have his email. I mean,
Yep.
I just forwarded it all.
Yep, I'll
you,
do
And
that.
you have the PDF that has client, I think it is, on the side. So,
Will do.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
A sidebar on
$2,900.
as well is that Jay Crow did send me an email last week saying that he finally got back information from the
Insurance.
soccer,
Was it their insurance?
the liability issue as far as the dog park being in relative proximity to the soccer fields. As long as there's not direct access, I guess is one way to put it, to the soccer field from the dog park, there didn't seem to be a problem. The issue would fall back on the village as far as liability factor, which I would believe that to be a total general package as far as liability at the park, whether it be pertaining to the soccer fields or whether it's pertaining to anything down there with having a dog park involved with it. So there's no restrictions, stipulations technically from their soccer group or their soccer governing body about having a dog park in proximity or not, is
I got done
from
before.
the way I read that. And if Jeremy, you've got anything, was that?
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that. It'd been a while since we talked to him and
Yeah, I've
hadn't
never
heard anything.
He did give me some dimensions too, as far as the different soccer field sizes. So, as we move into this, it's one concern is that the fields have been planted. So anything that we do from this point forward that would involve the changing of the farm use of that would come out of the funds to reimburse the farmer back at this point. Now, also speaking to Jason Harrell last week, there was some issue with the paperwork as far as getting the agreement back. He wants to do that as soon as possible before the corn starts getting big naturally, and the corn now is about, I'd say, 4 or 5 inches, it looked like the other day. So that's a priority right now for him to get the elevation as soon as we know that.
Inches? Is that 4 or 5 inches or 4 or 5 feet?
The corn's just breaking the
It's
ground
just-
down there.
Oh, okay.
It's just popped up.
Yeah, so that way it's
Oh,
imperative
corn.
that they get that shot before the corn starts going up. So that will turn into priority. At that point, we can also have a better idea of maybe what some contractors may want to be looking as far as some of the dirt work and a possible loan that's been discussed. But again, that's all contingent on some of the information we'll be receiving here from the elevation and the contractors who may be involved with it, respectfully.
Thanks, Rick, for that update. Okay, let's go into communications. And first of all, I want to just announce that our administrator, Kevin, is recuperating. He's been battling an illness, so he's getting better. And, we've all been wishing him well, so we hope he is able to return to the office soon. And we see him back there working away, but he is getting better and appreciates all the good thoughts. The other item that I had, we had a bid opening for the Enon Xenia, I'll just call it overlay project, and this would be the one that would go from the intersection down to the point of construction that we're dealing with now by the school. In reality, we want to see that done all as one job, but this part here was an Ohio Public Works Commission project in conjunction with the Clark County Engineers Department. The engineer's estimate for this job was, with updated numbers, $362,031. And we had the bid opening at 6 o'clock. Rick, thanks for helping me. I'll turn it over to you and you can read the numbers.
At 6 o'clock, the mayor opened the bids. We had 2 bids that were presented. The first one was from A&B Asphalt Corporation, $281,977.58. The second one is from Barrett Paving Materials, which did the part of the Enon Road job, $324,396 even. So A&B Asphalt is about $40,000 cheaper.
So what will happen next? The next process will be the engineers department will review everything contained in the bid packages for compliance with all of the specifications and all the requirements that they will need to meet for the job, and just make sure that it's, that there's not something that would disqualify the lowest bidder, I guess is a good way to say it. So thanks, Rick, for helping out with that.
No problem.
And it is nice to have that road back open. So we don't see.
For as long as it's going to be.
Yeah, so enjoy it now.
Yeah, enjoy it
We
now.
miss having all the traffic come down Sunnybrook, so. Chief, I'll turn it over to you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, residents. Reference to corn, it's knee-high to the 4th of July. That's a
4th of
good,
July.
so just keep that in mind. If anybody has noticed, Friday, I got a surprise call from Yipe Stripes. The SUV, the Durango, was completed. We took it down on Wednesday, and they had it knocked out by Friday. So it looks really good.
Sharp.
Yeah, it looks great. So it's done. It's road ready. And then at the end of next month, Axon will come in and put our cameras in and all the cruisers, so everything will be up to good to go. We're ready for the Charger to go to auction. I wasn't sure. Do I have to have approval by council to put that on there? I mean, I know it was kind of a consensus, but I just
You know what,
thought
maybe we'll do a motion. just-
Declared as
I
a
just-
surplus.
I would like to
Essentially
ask
be
that-
declared as surplus and put to go deals for repurchase.
That sounds like a motion
That sounds
to
like a
declare it
motion.
as yes.
I'll second.
Okay.
Guys,
Slow down for Brenda. That was a motion by Mr. Hannah.
you liked me. Okay, Hannah Babcock.
Declared.
Put cruiser in
Declares
surplus.
the old Charger to be surplus, to be
Charger.
sold on gov.deals.
To be sold.
Gov.deals.com.
Unless you want a new Charger, Brenda.
No, I don't want one.
You don't want a new one?
Gov deals. Okay, got it. Go, guys. Okay, ready for me?
And call the roll. Yes.
Mr. Babcock.
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet, yes. Mr. Bear.
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mr. Avery.
Yes.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I knew there was something, so I figured I'd get that. Memorial Day Parade will be this Sunday. Memorial Day lineup starts at 1 there at Greenon Schools, and it'll start promptly at 2 p.m. Go from Greenon Schools to down Xenia, South Enon Xenia, to Main Street, where they'll turn east, travel toward
This Sunday?
East Cemetery. What's that?
Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Be a good turnout, I hope. The circus last Friday went very well. We had a very good turnout for the first show. Second show was probably about maybe half the population. The rain held off except
It did.
until the second show. The children enjoyed the downpours of rain. They were out there running around. I talked to Jason Rose today, and he said that the damage to the fields was kind of minimal, wasn't too bad, so it was good. Didn't tear grass up, went well. We did have a couple, when I say couple, singular, maybe a couple at a time, was kind of against it. But short of that, I got a lot of good compliments, a lot of people from inside the community and then also outside the community, and I didn't hear any complaints, and it looked like it went off without a hitch.
One protester for the 5 o'clock showing and one for the 7:30.
Yes, sir.
Talked to both of them. They were very respectful.
Thank my officers for coming in and going over a little bit and covering, because they all stepped up, and I didn't have to mandate anybody. I just asked, and they did, so that worked out great.
We also addressed some issues on the Facebook as far as what the village should have did and what the village shouldn't have done. So we addressed that in social media back to the people that were making some allegations off of that. That we
I
did
didn't.
a prudent background as best as what we could between Dave and the mayor, and that we tried to present everything as factual as what we could, and left the documents out there in the lobby for people to purview should they wish to, and
Right.
that we left it up to individuals to make their own decision off of that respectfully. So,
I don't know. Nobody sent me anything on Facebook, and I don't look at it unless somebody says something. So, sounds like it went well. I don't know. We got the back building cleaned out today, or I shouldn't say we. I should say the village workers that were. I appreciate that, going out there and doing that. Thank you, Mayor, for setting that up, and everybody that went out there and did that. It was nice. It was a nice job, and they did it quick. So, I don't have anything else. It was pretty short and sweet. So.
Appreciate
Field
it.
of
Questions for our
questions.
chief?
not necessarily toward you, that dumpster I assume was rented for the circus. Is that still down there? Has that been removed?
No, they picked that up Monday.
This past Monday they did?
They were supposed to pick it up, the following Monday. I got a text and alert that they were picking it up, so.
Because that's what you saw the
I
people
thought I
back there,
saw one
think.
back there on my way back into town
It was
today.
it was there today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it really?
It
Yeah.
was.
Well,
That's
we
where
should
it
have
is.
I walked the
utilized
dog
that
down
today.
there.
We
Yes,
should have
I think
utilized
what
that
you saw
today.
people back there were doing the dumping. I think when you were talking about that, there
don't
was some
think-
trash that was put in it, but
I'm gonna
don't-
check up on that. That was,
It's
It was there when I came to the meeting, because I came from 4 and saw it.
I didn't look. That's odd.
It's back there by the dirt pile, you know.
Well, I know where, I sat it there. I know where it's at. I just didn't know it was still there. I was a little under the weather this morning, so I did a little bit of relaxing today. I donated some blood, and turned out I wasn't ready and didn't get enough sleep. So no, I don't know. I had a little bit of a little lightheadedness, so it kind of took me out of the commission for a little earlier part of the day. But I'm feeling a lot better now. Some food, and thanks to the staff there at the blood drive and the school for getting me back up to speed. Anyways, I'll go check on that and follow up on that, get that out of there.
Any other questions? Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Thanks, Chief.
This is sweet.
My turn, huh?
Your turn.
Okay. I can't even remember the name of it. Not that, the other thing. Public Service Committee has decided to accept that we actually recommend to council to approve the Village of Enon compensation policy that we have presented.
So we
Do you
would
want me to do the
entertain a motion in a second to
motion
approve.
to?
So moved.
Do we have it?
I don't know if Kevin gave it to you all or not. He gave it to the committee members.
Yes,
Well-
maybe we get it,
Did-
hand it, and send it out to the council, and we can
If-
vote on it the next one.
Everybody, you
Because
did
I-
that at the last meeting. Everybody had a copy of it at the last meeting.
That's true. And then we did have a meeting.
So that's up to you guys.
And, I mean, I don't see why we need to put it off anymore.
Wasn't, the corrections that were made were more, grammar, right? I mean, as far as, that's all that was changed. The numbers
The
weren't changed,
revision,
There wasn't that much.
you got the
change.
revised copy that Dave had put together at the last meeting
Correct, right?
to review, to approve at this
I know I
meeting.
formatted it, but I mean, it was only,
We sent
mine
it
was
to
only
Kevin.
format.
And-
It wasn't the words.
Yeah, we didn't get it because Kevin wasn't, he got it and he never kicked it out, I don't think.
No, it was
Or did I?
provided. You guys had it
No.
at the last meeting.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think I printed it off and
Yeah.
made staple copies and left it there.
You did.
Yeah,
You're the one
I
that
did.
hand-delivered it.
That's right, because
Yep.
he asked me to do that.
Let's say, I know Brenda brought me one.
I did. Jeremy wasn't at the last meeting, and I hand-delivered it to him.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if something had changed since
Right.
then.
Not since then,
Okay.
no.
We were waiting,
Got
we
the
just wanted you to be
The
present.
final compensation policy.
Should be
Is
stamped in the suite you have. I can make copies if you like.
Mine's, excuse me, mine says received, and that was your final stamp, right?
That was their final stamp up front, yeah.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second.
Okay, so you want me to go ahead? So we're going to go ahead?
Yes, call the roll.
Who did the second? by the way?
Me.
I thought so, okay. Okay, ready? Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet, yes. Mr. Bier?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
Dave, thanks for tidying that up.
Yes, sir.
Did all the little revisions there, so.
Okay, good.
Well, comments from the public. We have a scout present this evening. Good evening. How are you? I'm doing great. Would you like to introduce yourself this evening?
My name is Olivia Young. I'm the Troop Scout of Troop 17, the first girl to get Life Scout.
Awesome. Good for you. That is awesome. So what's that next one that you get?
Eagle.
You'll do it. Great. Comments from anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Meeting adjourned.
Should
Thank
we,
you. I was, wanted to confirm
Benny,
that.
Benny, should we be talking about